one up top. Car here in Berryhill, and flying by on the bottom. This is a driver we expect to see big things out of here, and he proved it in heat number 2. Gary Wright out front and just disappeared.
Gary Wright has won a lot of races here. He knows his way around this racetrack.
Jeff Swindell would then come up to challenge Berryhill. He'd take second place away from Aaron and would hold on to that position. Gary Wright would end up taking the win. Swindell would be second. Joe Grady would move into third. Berryhill into fourth, the final transfer. Heat number 3. On the inside, the green and white number 1F out of Ohio, Gene Jacobs in the Frigidaire back car. He was a dominant factor in this one. The pair of ones going at it here. Sammy Swindell in the blue number 1, and the 2, Danny Lasowski, the 1W, battling in the back. Gene Jacobs would take the win. Craig Hodden at second. Sammy would beat Danny to the line. That would be the fight for third and fourth. And finally, heat number 4. Rainey Hannigan led him to the line in the 1X. But it was Lance Blevins just before the hot dog stand, moving out into the lead in the 21 car, the Sitco machine. Looking Hannigan and Jac Haudenschild going at it for second place. Hot on the bottom in the yellow 22, the Pennzoil car, coming up on the inside. Hod would then come up to challenge Blevins. Watch this fight down in 3. To the outside goes Hod.
That was a bold move, too. He hung it way up on the edge out there. Took a big chance, but he got it done.
Hod would win it. Blevins would be second. Donny Crawford third, and the Hurricane, Randy Hannigan, finished fourth in heat number 4. And now the C-Main out on the racetrack. So we've got you all up to speed. Now let's introduce you to the players here. C-Main row 1, Rick Ziehl and Dan Dietrich in the 4D. In row 2 will be Ray Campbell and Tommy Johnson with that unique-looking 22T.
Row 3 is Brian Smith, David Chappell. Row 4, Mike Reynolds and Mallory Armfield.
Into row 5, you've got Jeff Mitterson and Jay Burns. In row 6, Ricky Jennings, Dodie Miller.
Running up the back, Larry Hartwell. You know, Dan Dietrich, we mentioned, is a Wilmot Speedway regular, not to be confused with the Dan Dietrich from Pennsylvania.
Let's go downstairs to Dave Reed.
Guys, we talk all the time about how most of the Outlaw drivers are a big family, but there are some guys out here tonight that don't have sprint car backgrounds. Case in point, the 5J car, Jeff Mitterson, comes out of Oskaloosa, Iowa, with a huge IMCA modified background. He's a track champion, darn near won a national championship. And how good has he been in a sprint car? Well, he's won once already at Knoxville, so he's a good driver.
10 laps here with our C-Main. 2 cars transferring onto the back of the B's. We go to green.
Got one in the fence coming out of 4, but that had to have done some damage.
Well, we got one around anyway. The 10X of Hartwell looping it here in turn number 1. And I believe that was the 50 car that got into the wall, if I'm not mistaken, Brad. I think that was Chappell in the 50 car, David Chappell out of Talala, Oklahoma. Now there's the 10X of Larry Hartwell out of Pasadena, Texas. Ever been on one of those places?
I don't think so.
David Chappell, a 3-time Tulsa Speedway champion. Struggling on the front straightaway here is the 10X of Hartwell. Now watch, we're going to show you what happened to Chappell as he came to the green flag. And there's a lot of bumping and banging as you come up those front straightaways, so it's not unusual to see a guy get pushed out like that.
Well, like I mentioned in the opener, it's pretty narrow, and that wall comes up real fast out of turn 4. He's right behind the 22 there, just gets up in the loose, and bang, hits the wall.
Yeah, he didn't get bumped by anybody but himself, did he?
Nope, just got up there, and luckily, you see everybody on the inside scrambling around. I don't know how the 10 car got turned around yet, but you see everybody just moving and fighting and getting their way through there. The 50 car, he'll be he's still on the racetrack, but it had to bend a wheel and knock some things out of alignment back there.
10X seems to be okay. Hartwell out of Pasadena.
All right, back line up again.
Coming up out of the C feature is just about as tough as it gets.
It really is. I mean, if you get out of this thing, then you go to the back of the B main, and that's where your faster cars generally are. You know, you might get halfway up through the field in the B main, and you get to the real fast cars toward the front. It's really tough back there.
If you're a real astute follower of the World of Outlaws, you might notice something different about these cars. On the exhaust pipes, they're running mufflers here.
Some places they have to run mufflers. It's 100 dBA at 100 feet. Just it's a noise level, and they have to meet that.
Not too many places where you see that. One of those, of course, California.
Yeah.
Bobby Gerald, what's going on down in the pits?
Well, one thing about sprint car racing, especially you'll find in the C-Main, a lot of second-generation equipment. For instance, in the Zero car of Brian Smith, he has a Westmar engine that was originally run by Dean Jacobs. It is now in the Zero car, and it's been rebuilt by Gertie. So it's a Westmar Gertie that went from one car to another.
And probably one of the oldest cars is that 22 car in there, the Blue Machine. 1984 chassis.
Home-built chassis. He built it himself and it's still around.
But he's racing the C feature at Devil's Bowl as we go back to green.
You might have saw the 50 car back there doing the wheelies and dancing around. I thought he was going to get in the wall again, but this time he stayed away from it.
Well, they all get through turns 1 and 2, racing down the back stretch and sliding down into turn 3.
There's the 22 you talked about, the blue car. Kind of a unique frame, unique wing situation.
Rick Ziehl leading this one as you're watching the battle back for third right now. The 6 car holding on to that position. Ray Campbell right now.
Whoa, we got.
Oh boy.
Up over, can he? If it's on the throttle, he's going to keep it running.
That's the 1R of Mike Reynolds, and he keeps it going, and he plops it back up onto the racetrack. But we got another car around over in turn 3.
We're going to get a yellow anyway, which helps him because he should get his spot back. He never stopped. The yellow came out for another car, so he'll get his spot back.
And I believe it's your buddy David Chappell over there in the 50 car. Yes, it is.
He's just not having too good a night.
Well, you know, when he hit that wall, he might have knocked the suspension a little bit loose, and that might have cost him from there. Well, here's the first incident.
The number 1 hit really lucky that
he went right up and over the back of the 6. Look, he got it all the way up onto the rear Nerf bar, didn't he?
You know, you might say he done a great job of saving it. You know, it's amazing what you can do with your eyes closed. But, more luck there, I think, than anything, that thing came down on all 4 wheels and didn't flip. That is amazing. See his head bounce. I mean, that's a jolt coming down and off the racetrack he goes. Again, no clutches on these things, no starters.
Keeping your foot in it is exactly
see the rear tire spinning. He's on the throttle now. He's keeping the engine running. Now, had the yellow not come out for the 50 car, he would have to go the tail, because even if he didn't stop, if they threw the yellow for him, it'd be interesting to see what happens. Well, they do have him on the tail right now, but the 50 stopped.
Well, there's David Chappell pulling away. Well, we'll get him lined back up, and we'll get the C feature back underway when we come back live to Devil's Bowl Speedway.
Your car's fuel injectors work like this when they're clean. But when they're clogged and dirty, all you get is a trickle of power that can make your car really run rough and sound out of tune. Pour in Berryman B12 Chem Tool. No expensive tune-up, no dirty hands, just maximum mileage, faster starts, out-of-sight performance. And all for about the price of a bottle of shampoo. Berryman B12 Chem Tool. It just may be the only tool you need for out-of-sight performance.
Now is the time to train for the career you've always wanted. Just ask Motorcycle Mechanics Institute graduate Al Luddington, now lead mechanic for Honda's championship-winning Smokin' Joe's Superbike team.
MMI gave me the knowledge and training to take me to the top of my profession. It's a great place to start, and I recommend it to anybody looking to kick off a career in motorcycle mechanics or the personal watercraft industry.
Change your life with one phone call, 1-800-994-3664. That's 1-800-994-3664. Call today.
Ice Sport. Cool, fresh, exhilarating. Deodorant and antiperspirant from Aquavelva.
Remember last week when you said next week you'd spend more time with your children?
Yeah, I remember.
It's next week from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Ice Sport. Cool, fresh, exhilarating. Deodorant and antiperspirant from Aquavelva.
Sammy Swindell taking a look at the racetrack. Chuck Spicer, Randy Hannigan down there as well taking a look at things. Some of the crews taking a look at the racetrack.
Well, Rick Ziehl got him covered, the 18 car, Mallory Arm.
See the cone there? The guy standing there by the cone. When they go green, everybody has to go by that cone on the outside. No passing until they get by there.
And that man right there, Rick Ziehl, will be the first one there. And it's all up to him to get on the gas. Now, he can actually get on the gas just about anywhere once he's gone past the flag stand. you just can't pass anybody until you go past that cone.
And it's frustrating for the guys in the back. If you have a slow car, if the leader takes off early and you've got a slow guy that maybe his motor stumbles and he can't get going, it is so frustrating because you want to turn, go out around him and drive by him, and you can't. And it is very frustrating.
Making their way out of turn 2 and looking for that orange cone. Las Cruces, New Mexico's Rick Ziehl into the throttle.
Well, he got a nice jump.
2 cars transferring out of this one. And Ziehl in great shape right now. The 4D of Dan Dietrich right now looks like he could make a trip onto the B as well.
Yeah, those 2 cars are just kind of checking out. They just run their line and stay out of trouble. It should be okay.
Rick Ziehl runs both with or without a wing on the car, and that's not an easy feat. That's quite a talented driver.
It takes a different driving style with and without the wing. The car slides a lot more without the wing. You run it in sideways, and with the wing, you have to run the car straighter and not scrub off as much speed. So it's completely different driving technique. Brian
Smith in the 0 car is 1 spot out of a transfer, but he holds on to 3rd in that 0 car. And he's got the 6 car trying to catch him, Ray Campbell. Oh, and a yellow flag comes out as the 10X is around again, right here on the front straightaway. Very Hartwell.
Well, him and David Chappell just not having too good of a C main tonight.
No, Chappell is out of the C main. Did not get the car restarted after the tow truck had to come out and get him. One of the push trucks up behind him, and they'll get him going again. Now there you see the 18 car Ziehl. He's just waiting to get going again. And it's kind of tough when you're in a position like that. You know you've got a good car. You know you're ready to go racing, and you just can't get out of this thing. Bobby Gerald?
Well, Dion Hindi was a guy who's staging for the B main right now. Now, last night, Dion Hindi was involved in an accident in the B main that actually bent the chassis. They had to do some welding today, and they had to weld this piece right here to get the Nerf bar in there. So a lot of work has been done to get Dion Hindi back to the races tonight. We're going to see him in our next race, the B main.
Dion Hindi, of course, running for Rookie of the Year, so it's important that he gets into the A main.
Dion told me that his dad ran the first aluminum block in 1978 at Donovan Block.
Look at the back of the 4D. This is taking football pretty seriously. Dietrich, a huge fan of world champion Green Bay Packers.
Was that
that windsock on?
Because he's from Wisconsin? You suppose that has something to do with that?
Sheboygan, Wisconsin, as a matter of fact. Don't meet too many people from Sheboygan. Let's see if he can go as well as the Packers did this year. He is in a transfer spot right now. That'll get him on to the B feature. There goes that wild-looking 22T of Tommy Johnson around the inside. He's sitting back in about 6th or 7th right now. Handful of laps left to go for Ziehl as he comes past the line again.
It's a great shot when they go by. You can tell how fast they go down the front straightaway. It's a 60 car, the 20 getting by the 22, the 60 of Ricky Jennings.
Norman, Oklahoma native.
Now the 22 comes right by. He's going to slide. Oh, I thought he was going off the edge of the racetrack, but he saved it.
They put that 22 on a computer and designed exactly the way they thought the car should be to get the maximum performance out of the tires. That's what they came up with. So it looks a little crazy, but supposedly the computer doesn't lie.
Thought he had the 6 car down in turns 1 and 2, and he looks a little faster as he tries to get on the outside. This is where you run uphill out of turn 2.
And that is a fight for 6th position that we're watching, is to catch up to the backside of Ray Campbell, who was the top rookie at Tulsa Speedway last year. Brewster Conley, who was a former World of Outlaw Crew Chief of the Year, tuning the wrenches on that machine. Had some problems with the 6 car earlier today, but it looks like Brewster living up to his knowledge and getting him going pretty good. White flag is out for one more lap around the half mile here at Devil's Bowl as we wrap up the C main. Oh, the 8K out of it. Dodie Miller. not going to matter as the checkered flag falls. And Rick Ziehl will get the win. And second place is going to go to the Green Bay Packers and Dan Dietrich. We're moving on to the B main. Paul McMahon is one of the best racers out of Northern California, and he's standing by with Bobby Jarrell.
Well, that's right, and he is a racer right now contending for the Rookie of the Year title with the World of Outlaws. This year sponsored by a bunch of World of Outlaws manufacturers. Going to pay $6,000 to win at the end of the season, Paul, and you're looking pretty good with a shot at it right now.
Yeah, Bobby, right now we got a pretty good shot right now, but Donny Schatz is right there with us. Dion Henry's not far behind us right there, too. It's a long season, but hopefully we'll have this B-Packer stealth up front, and we'll have the elbows up, the hammer down tonight, and go into the front from this B-man. We start a little far back, but hopefully we can make the top four and transfer on to the main event.
All right, you're starting in the 7th row, and you do have to finish in the top 4. If you don't get there, would you use a provisional tonight?
Oh, yeah, you know, definitely we would have to use a provisional tonight because points are everything, and, you know, tonight's a big night. It's not double point night, but it's 2 points per position that you lose, so we want to make sure that we don't want to have to use it, but we get 2 a year, and if we have to use one tonight, we will.
And it looks like the crew making a last-minute tire choice here. I want, before we go away, to take a good look at this helmet of Paul McMahon. It's the Beef Packers car. That is one ornery-looking bull right there. Paul McMahon's going to be charging in the B.
The Raging Bull on the side of Paul McMahon's helmet. It is an absolutely great helmet. You know, you do get to go down into the pit areas at the World of Outlaw events after the race, and Paul likes to show off his helmet. So make sure you go down and check it out next time the Pennzoil World of Outlaws come through your area. Well, let's go back downstairs over to the winner of this one. Here's Rick Ziehl and Dave Reeve.
Sprint car specialist Rick Ziehl, you're out of the race car. Shows you how tough this outlaw racing can be. You were in the dash last night.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game tonight.
Tell us about the racetrack out there and what happened. Obviously a bad qualifying lap.
Yeah, it was real wet when we went out there. We had an early qualifying number, so it kind of put us behind the 8 ball right off the bat.
Now you got some big changes to make. Are you going to make any for the B main?
Yeah, we're just going to try to tighten the car up and get a little bit of rubber on the car.
Also going to add a little bit of fuel here as Rick Ziehl's going to get back into this race car for our next race, the B main.
All right, David, thank you. Congratulations to Rick Ziehl. He's out of the C and onto the B, which is what you're going to see next when the Pennzoil World of Outlaws return to Mesquite, Texas.
Buck's Unpainted Furniture Stores has the finest Twin Cities selection of solid wood furniture. You can count on quality, selection, service, and savings at Buck's, 88th and Lyndale, Bloomington, Larpenteur and Snelling, St. Paul, Buck's new and expanded Minnetonka store, 7 High Center, and the West St. Paul Inver Grove Heights Outlet Clearance Center, 494 in South Robert. Take a walk through their woods and save big money at Buck's.
Money today, you won't have to go far to go where the savings are.
From Layla to Layla, Eric Clapton's legendary guitar work sets the standard. He's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Elton John has created classics we all remember. To hear quality artists like Elton John and Eric Clapton, listen to Cities 97. Bonnie Raitt, U2, Tom Petty, and No Hard Rocks. Cities 97 gives you more variety with the Gin Blossoms, Blues Traveler, and Sheryl Crow. Quality music, true variety. Cities 97.
A young child's mind is like gelatin. The idea is to put in lots of good things before it sets.
It was an absolutely beautiful day here in the Dallas area earlier today. In fact, you could have worn shorts, but tonight the wind has kind of picked up. It's gotten a little bit chilly. Everybody kind of bundled up here at Devil's Bowl. Let's show you the results of the C feature now. Now, Rick Ziehl and Dan Dietrich are the only two that are going to transfer out of the C onto the B. The rest of these drivers did their best, but they're going to have to join the rest of the crowd up in the grandstands.
Yep, they load up and go home.
Here's a look at the back half of the top 10. Johnson, Jennings, Reynolds, Armfield, and Jay Burns rounding out the top 10 for the C feature. Well, you know, there's a lot of unique things to see and do around Devil's Bowl. It's a little bit out in the country, but there's some pretty unique things here. Of course, the guy to find the unique, David Reeve.
When it comes to racing here at the Devil's Bowl Speedway, well, it's like a little slice of heaven. Besides the Pennzoil World of Outlaws, they promise great racing action here every Friday night. And I can tell you from personal experience that the food here is among the best in the entire nation. But there is one little slice of Americana that's a must-see, must-do, must-experience right around the corner. Come on. We have reached our Mecca, the Devil Bowl Fishing Hole Club Catfish Corner. Now, not too many people know this, but historical folklore says that the driver who catches the biggest fish on a race day at the Devil's Bowl Speedway is guaranteed to win that night. I wonder if there's any drivers here. Let's find out. Acres and acres of some of the best catfish fishing Texas has to offer. And look what we found here. No surprise, the winningest driver in Devil's Bowl history, Sammy Swindell. Sammy, have you been able to hook a big one yet?
Well, not yet. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, hold on. Look at the bend in that pole. I think Sammy Swindell has hooked himself a monster. Look at this. Judging by the size of that catfish, I'd be looking out for Sammy Swindell tonight. If history's on his side, it will be his night. Boy, I wish I could catch a big fish like Sammy Swindell. Oh, goodness gracious. Look at the size of this big boy. Hey, hey, hey. Oh, no. Well, I guess it's like Mom always said when she caught me singing in the shower. Don't quit your day job, son.
David. Well, what was the biggest fish you ever caught over there, Donny?
Actually, I'm not much of a fisherman, Ralph. I didn't catch any over there.
Did you go to the shooting range next door?
No, I didn't do that either.
How about the airport off the backstretch?
Well, actually, with the trees over here, you know, I didn't even know there was an airport over there for a long time.
The Gator Farm, did you go over there?
I stayed away from there.
You have no fun on the road, do you, Brad? What do you do?
I just raced. You know, I was just a dedicated racer, you know.
Okay, sure.
Well, it sounds good.
It does sound good. That's exactly right. Let's go back downstairs to another dedicated race fan, Bobby Gerald.
Oh, that's right. Hey, Gary Brazier, the driver of the 75 car. They have catfish in Australia.
Well, I'm sure they do, but I'm not really interested in catfish myself.
Gary Brazier is a 3-time Australian sprint car champion who is now behind the wheel of the Mopar car. And what do you think of this ride so far, Gary?
Well, you know, it's new and interesting for both me and Gary Stanton in the Mopar Performance team. You know, I'm sure we can get the job done eventually later in the year. Right now, it's a new experience at all these different racetracks, and, you know, it's the first time we've come here down here to Devil's Bowl, and, you know, I think we're getting there. Just hopefully we can go there and win this one.
All right, for the very first time at Devil's Bowl, he'll start on the front row of the B main. Dave Reef?
Well, Bobby, no fish stories anymore here. Just the third of our Outlaw Rookie of the Year contenders, Donny Schatz. You're going to start in the second row. Always important to get up there as you're battling for that big money.
Yeah, you know, we've been struggling the last couple nights and started in the second row, and last night we barely made it, but hopefully we got everything regrouped, and you know, we can win the B main and get some spots in the feature.
What's a racetrack like tonight, and what have you done to your car to try to make sure you make the A?
Well, at the beginning of the night, you know, the racetrack was really wet, and you know, it was way different than it was last night. It was better than we expected, and now everything's kind of slicking off again, and looks like there's going to be 2 grooves.
2 grooves, I guarantee he'll pick one of them, and he'll be fast tonight. Donny Schatz.
Well, the Pennzoil World of Outlaws run a 410 cubic inch sprint car motor. Donny Schatz last year won 25 races with a 360 sized power plant. A good young shot out of North Dakota.
It's probably hit you a zillion times by now. You could use a bug flector. Protects your truck from bugs and stones, installs quickly and easily. Bug flector from Auto Vent Shade Company, maker of the original vent visor deflector.
I do not drive to work. I do not drive to get from point A to point B. I do not drive to run away from the world. I just love to drive.
The new 1997 Monte Carlo. Personal space from genuine Chevrolet. The cars more Americans trust.
Keeping our lives in alignment's a big challenge. Seems like we're always hitting those proverbial potholes. To get back into alignment, we need to prioritize and use our time wisely. Hi, I'm Tom Gigax. Speaking of alignment, when your car or truck hits a pothole, come to Tires Plus for a free alignment check. Just as you need to keep your life in alignment, keep your car or truck in alignment at Tires Plus.
No warehouse prices. Tires Plus. World-class service. Tires Plus.
Introducing the new Jeep Cherokee. With over 40 advancements, it was voted four-wheeler of the year by virtually everyone. Now lease the award-winning Jeep Cherokee for $239 a month. Check one out at your Jeep and Eagle dealer.
Welcome back to Devil's Bowl Speedway, just outside of Dallas, Texas. Pennzoil World of Outlaws in action here. Let's show you the lineup for the B feature, B main event. We will take 4 cars out of here after this 12-lap race and put them to the back of the A main. Johnny Hollywood Herrera and Gary Frazier at row number 1. Tony Schatz and Don Drought will make up row 2.
Row 3, Tommy Estes supposed to start there, but he blew an engine. Tyler Walker's in there, Marlon Jones, Ronald Laney.
Back to row number 5. Mike Peters in the 66 car had that wild flip last night. Scott Whitworth. Leonard Lee, you saw him spin and continue on. And Justin Bai, the 17-year-old basketball junior high schooler out of Illinois.
Back here in row 7, Memphis Mike Ward, Paul McMahon from California, Victor Hensley, who scratched, and Dan Oswald, the D1.
Moving on deeper into the field, we'll take our way back to row, well, actually that's it. I thought there was going to be another row. So this field now, 4 cars coming out of here and transferring on to the A main, and there's some interesting names in this one, I think, with the fact that you've got a car like Mike Peters, who was pretty quick last night till he got involved in his flip. Johnny Herrera, who is always quick, won here with the NCRA back in 1992, so should be pretty interesting, don't you think, Bobby Gerald?
Oh, I think it's going to be a heck of a race, especially with the Paul McMahon thing in here. Paul McMahon has qualified for every A main this season. He's going to be one to watch. Another guy, Scott Whitworth in the 96. He's a Knoxville regular from Worthington, Missouri, and he has switched chassis. He's normally run a Chenet chassis. This year, he switched over to the Maxim simply because they were closer to his home. He said it was a long way to go to South Dakota, where the Chenets were based out of, so he made the switch over to Maxim, and we'll see how he rides here in the B main.
And that can affect you as a driver.
Yeah, it is. You know,
okay,
sometimes it's a different setup. Now, you said 4 come out, only 2 get their time. The first and second place will get their time for the A main. The next 2 tag the tail of the A main.
Johnny Herrera and Gary Frazier up in the front row. Donny Schatz and Don Drought back in row 2. And we're green. 1 car back into the wall deep in the field.
Oswald, I believe, who that was, Ralph.
Yeah, I think you're right. The Sonic 1D. Leading this one as we go into 3 is Johnny Herrera. There you see Schatz. He runs in 3rd just behind the 75 car, the Mopar machine, and it looks like Oswald has lost it over in turn 3. And that ought to bring out the yellow.
I think what's happening a little bit, Ralph, there's some loose stuff up there on the top of the racetrack, and they get a little too high and just slide off the end up there.
Dan had some problems last night, too, over turn 1 on the other side of the racetrack. He got loose a couple of times. All 3 of the drivers who are contesting for Rookie of the Year honors this year are in this B feature. Paul McMahon, Dion Hindy, and Donny Schatz. So if any one of those drivers can move on and leave the other 2 guys behind him, he'll pick up some valuable points here tonight. Well, Tommy Estes' night is done. Let's go downstairs and find out what happened to him.
Well, Ralph, he was supposed to start 5th here in the B main, is what he wanted to say. But you're not out there, Tommy. What's the deal?
No, we broke a motor again tonight. We've had a little motor trouble here lately, and you know, just luck's not with us right now. Kind of kicked a rod out the side of it.
This is getting ugly, I understand. That's about 3 in the last 3 races, isn't it?
Yeah, we've run 2 races, really, and I come out here last Sunday and tested a little bit and hurt one then, and then I got one last tonight.
This is not a pretty deal. Have you picked out a favorite here for this B main?
To tell you the truth, Bob, I was sitting over there in the truck just watching the races where it was kind of warm. I can just see the back straightaway. Since we're not in it, you know, it's kind of hard to say. I'd like to be out there, but I'm not.
We'll pick one for you. I think you like Gary Brazier. How's that?
Thanks, Bob.
Let's check in with Dave Reef now.
Guys, you mentioned Hollywood Herrera, but I got to be honest with you. I don't know anything about Hollywood Herrera. I don't know where that came from, but I can tell you this. He had a very disappointing night last night. He had a big fire under the hood of the car, and it looked like it could be trouble, but what really happened is a fuel line came off of the car, hit the hot headers, a spark kicked up a fire. Everything is fine. Gil Sonner says that motor is running perfect here tonight.
Well, actually, it was this television crew that dubbed him Hollywood Herrera because Johnny seems to do so well when he's on live TV. He performs very well, and his sisters, who handle his T-shirts and souvenirs and stuff, jumped all over the Hollywood nickname, and that is actually the first time the world has seen the new Hollywood Herrera hat, shirts, and everything else on their way out. So if you're a Johnny Herrera fan, get your checkbook ready. Lots of new merchandise heading your way. Well, we're going to get them all lined up here, the B feature. We're just about set to go. We'll have them ready when we come back. Stay with us.
Bang. For a single instant, the world stops. Millionaires and hot dog vendors rise to their feet as modern-day warriors unleash monstrous shots towards the heavens, turning certain defeat into victory, and civilized men into maniacal chuckleheads scurrying for a souvenir.
The Cubs battle the Marlins in the premiere of Fox Sports Net's Baseball Thursday. Thursday at 6 on Midwest Sports Channel.
I love to ski. It's so awesome to be out on the slope. Besides, what else is there to do with snow? You can't drive in it. Last weekend, it had just snowed, so naturally I was going skiing. But there was this steep hill with a curve. There was no way I could stay on the road. Now my new car has a new dent. I went to Abra. They fixed my car back to perfect. Snow and hills are great for skiing, not for driving. Bye.
Abra Auto Body and Glass.
Well, the B feature was scheduled for 12 laps. We've completed one, and Johnny Herrera led that one. It looks like he'll lead at least the beginning of the second lap. And behind him is Gary Brazier in Gary Stanton's car. Now, a lot of people have driven for Gary Stanton, yourself included, and Al Unser Jr., another one.
1981, Al Unser Jr. drove that car here. Gary's had a lot of drivers.
Didn't always have Mopar engines in them, but they do now. Here we go. Watch that orange cone. Hollywood on the gas and pulling away. Coming down on the bottom side is Donny. Schatz from third to the lead.
Where in the world how did he do that? My goodness, he shot out of nowhere.
Now you see the fight for second between Herrera on the outside and the white-blue 47, and Brazier, the Mopar, lost a lot of speed all of a sudden.
Boy, he sure did. It looked like he really slowed going into turn 3. I don't know what happened there, but boy, Donny Schatz again. They got the nice shot, Donny Schatz, and drove away from him. He's continuing driving away.
There is a fight going deeper on in the field. That's Mike Peters in the 66 and Marlon Jones in the other Sonic car, the 1J. That is outside of a transfer spot. That is actually in 5th, as we've got a yellow flag for a car over in the turn 3 area, the 24 machine. That's Justin Vide. Now, Justin is a junior in high school. He's 17 years old. He plays power forward for his local high school back in Marion, Illinois. The basketball season just got over it. And now Justin goes sprint car racing.
Yeah, I'm sure this isn't what he had in mind, but he can get refired up, start on the tail here, and he's got a lot of laps left. Maybe he can get back up through here.
Yeah, and he won't get any foul shots for that either. Let's go down to Dave Reed.
Guys, I'm down with Randy Hannigan, the 1995 Rookie of the Year on the World of Outlaw Tour. He probably knows better than anybody else what's going on in the minds of the 3 drivers that are out there competing for it now. Do they think about each other when they're out there, all 3 in the B main like this?
No, not too much. You know, they're out there just trying to get to the feature right now. You know, in the back of their head that they know that the other one needs to make it so they can keep up in the points. You know, so they can keep going and keep their points and stay ahead of the guys that are with them. So all 3 of them in there. So. You know, if they all 3 don't make it, so, they'll stay up there in the points.
Is there a point in time later in the season when they do think about it?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Randy Hannigan, he's getting the car all ready to go here. He'll be in tonight's A-main starting in the 7th row. That's coming up next, guys.
You know, I know we're supposed to be unbiased as broadcasters, but I really like that Randy Hannigan. Good kid. Wish he'd find some good sponsorship to be able to go racing. He's a great addition to the series. We're racing as we go. Schatz pulling away.
There you see the 75 Mopar car. Brazier going around the outside. What a nice move he made. Can he make it stick as they go into turn 1?
Boy, Herrera down on the bottom. Look out for those big white tires. They've been everybody last night. Right now, the final transfer spot is held by Drought right behind this fight as Herrera holds on to 2nd place. This one's going back and forth.
Yeah, Brazier's a little slow getting into turn 3. He's nice everywhere else, but when they get up to speed, it seems like he really has to get out of the throttle getting into turn 3, and he loses a lot of ground.
See the rear end chattering on the car as he came through there?
Well, the racetrack, sometimes they use a sheep's foot. They call it. It puts little holes in the racetrack so the water will sit in, and that'll make your tires stutter and shake like that.
Mike Peters in the Trop Arctic 66. He's running around in 5th position right now. A former NCRA champion from back in 1987 is one spot out of going to the A-main, and the B feature is what bit him last night. Right there, as a matter of fact, he had a horrendous crash.
Yeah, that was a big hit, hard hit, but everybody came out okay.
Drought up into 3rd now. The 1BK, the Burger King car, who's going to go for the NCRA championship this year, as 3rd with the Outlaws right now.
Yeah, he didn't fare real well last night down right there in turn 3. He clipped the inside tires and knocked the front axle out. Mike Peters has to be happy there. He goes around. Something's going foul with the Mopar car. He's slowing down.
Well, that'll put Peters into a transfer spot, and Brazier sits one spot out of it now. Maybe Brazier went with the wrong tire.
Yeah, it's hard to say what it is. You know, I'd say it's more in setup than anything, the way the car looks, and he's just not real fast down in 1 and 2. He doesn't seem to be able to stay on the bottom, and that's where they're driving by and coming off. See as he slides up there? The one...
Jay, that's Marlon Jones chasing after him, and also the 35 of Tyler Walker. But now look at Peters going after Drought, and he's going to come up to the inside.
Well, I bet you when this is over, people will be looking at Mike Peters' tires. The other crews and everybody will go down, look at it and see what rubber he has, what compound he has, because he is fast right now.
And Marlon Jones trying to get in there to challenge. Donny Schatz continues to lead this one. Herrera sitting in 2nd. Then it's Peters in this fight back here. Oh, and Drought's car just dies. Don Drought's Burger King back 1BK is dead in the water. Everybody moves up one, including Marlon Jones, who's now looking at a transfer.
Got 1 lap to go, Ralph, so all Schatz has to do is hang on and he'll win this one.
Coming to the checkered flag as the yellow comes out. And no, we're not going to get the checkered flag. Thought maybe, since that was a white flag lap, that we would see a checkered flag come as they came to the line, but it looks like we're going to run them to the green to the checker.
Yeah, Drought was sitting off of turn 2 when they felt he was in a dangerous spot, and they had no choice but to throw the yellow. Probably a good call.
So Don Drought is out, but he is not the only one to have had problems in this closing laps here. Watch the 88 car right here, Mike Ward.
Just up in the loose stuff. See how far he is up in the marbles? He's trying to save it. Boy, he knows right there. Uh-oh, I'm in big trouble. Bam, you know, he was lucky. The back of the car came around far enough that when he hit, had he not been around that far and the right rear hit, it would have slapped the front end in and possibly turned him over.
And the other thing is there are bars all the way back around that gas tank there. You can see them. That protects that gas tank from rupturing and spilling the fuel out and causing a fire in a situation like that.
Yeah, no, the fuel tanks all have big, thick rubber bladders in them of safety to help from a fire hazard. And that was implemented years ago, and it's a great rule. Believe it or not, at one time we didn't have to run bladders.
Well, amazingly, looks like they're changing a left front tire on Sonic 1K of Marlon Jones. Marlon Jones now, we're told, in the 1J has had steering problems, and he is pitted. What a shame, because Marlon was sitting in a transfer spot, and now the Sonic back car is out. There you see the 1D. That is his teammate. That is Dan Oswald. Dan, the Sonic Man, they call him. He owns a series of Sonic fast food chain restaurants. Donny Schatz not having any problems. And it looks like He might be the only rookie right now to make it into the field. Paul McMahon is real close to a transfer, and so is Dion Hindi. Schatz the only one locked in right now. Let's see if we can get it squared up there. You see him coming by. There's the 83 of McMahon. There's the 11 of Hindi. Right now, Schatz is the leader. Herrera is second. Peters and Brazier back into a transfer. Then it's Tyler Walker, who is fifth. And then after that come the other cars of McMahon and Hindi. There's the 1J of Marlon Jones. Let's see if they can get this squared out and get him started again. It'll go green, white, checker when we get Jones off the course and back underway.
You know, you might have noticed Neon Dion Hindi, as we call him, the yellow car. That color, the car is that color. His dad is legally blind from a sprint car crash. Did some retina damage, and they have the car that color so he can see it better on the racetrack. As you see it there, the bright,
well, it's hard to
yellow,
miss.
lime-colored yellow car, and that's so his father can see it.
Well, they have fixed Marlon Jones enough to get him going. They have pushed him off, and we're going to get set to go racing here. Green, white, checker is what we're going to see. Here's the green. Look at the fight coming up from behind as those rookies all try to make their way through the field. Nobody able to move up so far. Nobody able to move up so far. Schatz continues to lead.
Tyler Walker on the outside of the Mopar car. Brazier moving up a spot.
Dan Oswald could be the spoiler in the middle of all that if he doesn't get out of the way.
Look at Walker
race through.
On the outside. He's going to go around Peters. Boy, well, yeah, I think.
Well, he's got a transfer right now. He sits in fourth, and Paul McMahon loops it over in turn 2, and Marlon Jones into the tire, and we got a yellow. Wow, this one not over yet. So Schatz, Herrera, Walker, and Peters, that's how they cross the line.
You know, Schatz is the leader of this thing. He's not, right now he's thinking, what in the world? Let's just get this thing over with. You know, I did this myself, leading the race. You think you're going to get the checkered and the yellow comes out. The rule says you have to run green, white, and checkered. So you go back and do it again.
Bobby Gerald?
A lot has been made about Tyler Walker, driving car number 35. He was the 1996 National Sprint Car Pole Rookie of the Year. His maturation process trying to continue here this year, looking good in this B main. What he's going to do this season is he will actually have a shop in California, where his home is in Santa Clarita. They will also have a shop in Franklin, Indiana, so that he can be in the crossroads of America when he's out on the road and be able to return home maybe every couple of weeks instead of being way out there in California on the left coast, where you get home really only once a year if you want to try to run a national tour.
And that's a huge advantage.
Big advantage, you know, just getting home once in a while and sleeping in your own bed or something you're used to, you know, mentally it's just a relief.
One of the advantages for the Outlaws this year, not a lot of dates in the middle of the week, so they're able to get home for a couple of days in the middle of the week.
A lot of the drivers are. Unfortunately, some of the crew, you know, they're staying out here, so they're working on the car, and but the drivers are flying back and forth, and it keeps them sharper, I think.
Well, let's see if Donny Schatz can hold him off again. Green, white, checkered, set to go. Here comes Tyler Walker. See him closing in the 35.
Tyler to the outside of Mike Peters again. Oh, look at the big push that Herrera took. Boy, that cost him.
Big time. Cost him 2 positions. He's all the way back to 4th and on the verge of not transferring. Walker's up to 2nd. Peters up to 3rd. Here comes McMahon from deep in the field. Dion Hindi gets tagged and goes around, and that's going to bring out another yellow. Poor Donny Schatz, he can't believe it.
You know, you just ride around her, and you know, yes, he's fast, and you think he's got this thing. It looked like he even shook his head there a little bit, like, man, I can't believe this. You know, there's always a chance of something breaking or something. You know, you just show me the checker.
Dion got hit by another car as they went racing down the backstretch, and just kicked him right around.
I want to go back to that. I mentioned Dion told me his dad ran the first aluminum engine in 1978 in a sprint car. He said it was serial number 4. That one went to a drag boat, went to a drag car, and one was just a mock-up block. So he got the number 4 serial number and ran the first aluminum engine.
Dion has won in Texas. Back in 1992, he picked up the win in Lubbock, Texas.
Never been there either, I don't think, Rob.
The home of Bubba Schobert, one of the best ever to swing his legs over a motorcycle. Let's go down to Bobby Jarrell.
Well, guys, with all these yellow flags, let's still not count out Paul McMahon, who, as we talked about, has made every World of Outlaws feature event this year in his quest for Rookie of the Year. Now, Paul told me before the race that he will use a provisional if he doesn't finish in the top 4. You're granted 2 of these during the course of the season. It's very important for Paul McMahon to continue to be in these A-main events because they've kind of set not really a deadline, but they have set a date about 20 races into the season where they will evaluate the program. If they're in the top 10, they'll continue to do the whole World of Outlaws tour, and if they're not, well, then they may start picking and choosing their races and come off the tour. Paul wants to stay with the Pennzoil World of Outlaws, so he wants to be in that A-main tonight real bad.
Well, he is the 7th or 8th car in line right now, and he's actually in about 6th position, so he's 2 cars away from a transfer spot, so he's got his work cut out for him.
Yeah, he does. You saw him in the 83, kind of warming up his tires right there. And, you know, back to that cone, sometimes it's an advantage and sometimes it's a disadvantage. What it's done, it's stopped. The cone has stopped a lot of jumping on the restarts. People 2 and 3 wide banging and bumping back there. And but a guy can't get a big advantage either.
Let's try it again. Here we go.
Again, Tyler Walker to the outside of Mike Peters. Looks like he goes right around. You know, that helped Johnny Herrera. You know, he lost all those spots.
He's up to 2nd again.
Well, it put him back up there because they go back to the last completed lap. So that was definitely a help to him because now he'll get his time back.
Tyler Walker now sits, or I should say Paul McMahon sits 5th. 1 spot out of a transfer. He's passed a couple, but the white flag is out. Look at this fight between Walker and Herrera.
This is the best race I've seen Tyler Walker run. His car is working. He's done that before, and he scared me. I thought he was going to clear off the racetrack in turn 2, and it sticks, and he drives right off. That is the best race I've seen this kid drive yet.
Here's something we've all waited for, a checkered flag. Donny Schatz gets the win. Walker comes up 2nd, Herrera and Peters. Paul McMahon going to have to use a provisional. Well, so the B feature is finally over. Donny Schatz will get the win. Tyler Walker with a nice performance. He will go on to the A. Johnny Herrera will join him there. We're going to step away for just a minute, but Stevie Smith in the 19 ready for the A-main. Stay with us.
Opening day is terrific. I mean, it's kind of like everything you've done in spring training, you shoot for that opening day mark. So when it finally gets there, all the balls that you've locked in the dirt, all the work that you've done with your pitcher, all the extra batting practice that you've taken, all the running, all the conditioning, it all comes to head, you know, on opening night.
True Value Ball Night, opening night, April 1st. For tickets, call 33 Twins.
Buck's Unpainted Furniture Stores has the finest Twin Cities selection of solid wood furniture. You can count on quality, selection, service, and savings at Buck's, 88th and Lyndale, Bloomington, Larpenteur and Snelling, St. Paul, Buck's new and expanded Minnetonka store, 7 High Center, and the West St. Paul Inver Grove Heights Outlet Clearance Center, 494 in South Robert. Take a walk through their woods and save big money at Buck's.
Money today, you won't have to go far to go where the savings are.
The sun highlights the intricate tapestry of one of nature's weavers. Save for the gentle rustling of some leaves, there is a peaceful silence, and I think to myself, installing a new pair of skis on my snowmobile could improve my turning ability and give me increased flotation in powder.
Obsessed with your snowmobile? We understand. We can help.
Racetrack, I just love that one. Mesquite, Texas is where it is located at, just outside of Dallas, the Big D. And we have finally completed the B-main. Took us a while. Donny Schatz gets the win. Tyler Walker, Johnny Herrera, and Mike Peters all transfer on. Now, Paul McMahon, as we heard earlier, might utilize a provisional to get himself in there. He can do that. And right now, he sits 1 spot out of it with the transfer. Let's go down to the winner, Donny Schatz, who's standing by with David Reed.
Donny Schatz, you found a groove out there and made it work. Great drive to the front.
Thank you. You know, like I said before I went out, it's a 2-lane racetrack, and you know, we can get this car to work on the top or the bottom. So you know, just glad we made it out of the B, and maybe we can get forward in the A.
That rookie chase, Paul McMahon might have to take a provisional. You could gain some points tonight.
Yeah, you know, we could gain a lot of points, but, you know, I'm not really worried about the points. It's so early in the season to be worried about that, you know, we got 108 races a year, so anything can happen.
Well, he's in the A main. That was his first concern tonight. Let's go over to Bobby Gerald.
Stevie Smith is going to be starting in the 3rd position in tonight's A main, and Stevie, 3rd sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot better than where we've been starting, so we're happy with that. Hopefully at the end of the race we can be up front somewhere and hopefully in 1st and sitting there in victory lane when the night's all over.
The track obviously getting slicker. We saw a lot of spin-outs there in the B main. How will that affect you and what you guys do here?
We're changing things around, trying to win the race. I don't know, we could have maybe played it safe and hung in there, but we're going to try to win it, so we're changing some stuff around. It is getting slick.
Stevie Smith utilizes the all coil-over chassis configuration here. A lot of people say that those work best on a dry track like this.
Well, I don't know. We haven't ran it enough. It's all new to me, but my dad's working real hard on it, and hopefully he'll get it right for me. And other than that, I don't feel a whole lot of difference.
Stevie Smith has won here at Devil's Bowl before, and this may be his best shot this year.
I like that combination here tonight. I think Stevie Smith stands a great chance of winning this. What we saw out of him in this car last night, they have really been working on this. His dad, Steve Smith Sr., is doing a lot of R&D work, and I think this car is going to be a contender this year.
Yeah, I have to agree with it. They had quite a bit of engine trouble at the beginning of the year that really put them behind. When you're messing with the engine, you don't have time to deal with the chassis and worry about the setup. They've been fine-tuning it. Now, you know, last night they worked. The work off of last night, add to that, and try to get faster.
Dave Reef has been roaming around pit road, and he has found the guy who has won more races here at Devil's Bowl than anybody else on pit road. Right, Dave?
And I've also found the world's largest mosquito. I guess everything is big in Texas. Well, here's the Get a Grip car, and here's the Get a Fish man. We saw you, Sammy, earlier today with a monster catfish on that line. Is that going to equal a win tonight?
Well, I don't know. I hope so. You know, we got the channel lock car working pretty good. We just need to start up a little closer to the front on some of these things, but we had a good run last night, you know, and then we've had some good runs this year, so hopefully we can have this thing just right and pass a bunch of guys.
What did happen last night? I think it was a tire that reached out and grabbed you. Is that right?
Well, yeah, it kind of moved over on me a little bit. It got a little tight over there between 3 and 4, and tried to get between a car and a tractor tire, and the tractor tire won.
I'll tell you what, though, that catfishing over there, it's some of the best. Could you believe the size of that fish you caught?
Well, it's pretty big. It's like the ones we have back home.
Well, he's got a full stomach, and he'll be starting 11th on the grid tonight. Does it equal a win? Well, we'll find out in 30 laps, guys.
Well, he has won more races here than anybody else, but a guy who would like to get a win here is Dave Blaney. Dave has got one of the nicest tow rigs you will find anywhere in the world of racing. Bobby Gerald took a look.
If you're going to cover the 25 to 30,000 miles that it takes when you travel a full World of Outlaws schedule, you may as well do it in style. And that's what Dave Blaney and his vibrant Hilton Motorsports U.S. Print team are doing this year. Featherlight has designed this trailer exclusively for Dave Blaney and Kenny Woodruff, his crew chief. What does it have? Well, you need a place for your components. How about that? Nice place for the radius rods and the rear ends. You need a
927-2363 to subscribe. You'll get an entire year of NASCAR Winston Cup Illustrated for just $43. Call 800-927-2363 now.
Lots of people come to Napa looking for hard-to-find auto parts. I tell them, the only time parts are hard to find is when you're trying to find them someplace else.
It's spring break at Napa with price breaks on all kinds of parts and accessories. Like Autolite resistor spark plugs, only 69 cents each after rebate. And this 4-piece carpeted format set for a low $5.99. All at Napa, the place to go for spring break.
America running.
Smaller electrodes, more power. More electrodes, faster
Suddenly,
starts.
everybody's got a spark plug idea that promises instant higher performance. But one plug's idea is higher performance that lasts. Autolite Double Platinum. Platinum on both sides of the gap for faster starts and more power every time. Platinum to platinum firing for guaranteed peak performance long after other ideas have peaked out. Autolite Platinum and Autolite Double Platinum. More precious metal for your precious metal.
Welcome back to Devil's Bowl. There's the 8 feature cars lining up. Andy Hillenberg, Daniel Lasowski, and Morgan Woody. It's the official push truck of the series. Let's check in downstairs with David Reed.
And we will check in with the Wild Child, and he's going to make things exciting tonight, I guarantee. Jack, start back in the fourth row. What's it going to take to get up and win this Spring Nationals A-Main tonight?
Well, I think we're pretty close to the car. We ran good in the heat race, and the dash we were all right. So we just changed the car around a little bit for the feature. So I think the Eldon Racing car will be pretty fast.
He always makes things exciting, and so does somebody else. Guy Forbrook, you've been able to make this car go unbelievably fast. You must know something about these cars.
I don't know if it was unbelievably fast, but we're going pretty good right now. I just hope that we can take it to the front tonight and win this thing.
Well, I guarantee the name says it all. Wild Child, Guy Forbrook, very potent duo.
Pretty unique pairing there. And,
go ahead.
A lot of fun watching those two work together. Bobby Jarrell?
Well, we saw that bull once before the B-Main. He started 14th, did charge all the way up to 5th, even with a spin out involved, but 5th wasn't good enough, so Paul McMahon, will you take a provisional?
Yeah, Bobby, definitely will take a provisional tonight. We're in this Rookie of the Year point deal and trying to run the top 10 of the World of Outlaws, so we got to take the provisional. You know, we get 2 a year, and we don't like to use them this early in the season, but if we got to do it, we got to do.
What about that spin? How slick is the track?
Oh, the track's real slick. We had the car a little tight for the heat race, so we loosened her up just a tad while the track went away, and we're a little loose, so I got in there hot after the white flag, had nothing to lose, and got in a little too hot and spun her around. Luckily, I kept it going, and a yellow flag came out and kind of gave us another shot to run up in the top 4, but, you know, we came up a little short tonight.
Well, Paul McMahon told us that he was going to have his elbows up in that B-Main, and you heard it, guys. On the white flag, he had nothing to lose. He went for it.
Paul McMahon going to utilize that provisional. There we are way up top here, high above Devil's Bowl Speedway. Lanny Edwards has got this sent back behind the grandstands there. And in that crowd is a bunch of youngsters whose fathers are racing on that side. Take a look at the youngers.
How about this for a new meaning to the words family racing? Now, granted, there will be families racing here on the big Devil's Bowl Speedway, but right below me here on the Kiddie Bowl, the little Devil's Bowl Speedway, some of Sprint Car's next generation drivers getting set for an A-Main. These are Steve Kinser's kids, Kurt and Craig. This is Sheldon Leeskamp, son of the Goodyear tire man Roger Leeskamp, and in the middle, Kevin Swindell, son of Sammy Swindell. Surely enough, his father is on the pole. The winningest driver ought to be Steve Kinser to his outside. Brad Doty, you're even in this field starting inside of row number 2. Are you guys ready to take the green?
Yeah!
Oh, how about some enthusiasm? Are you ready to go green?
Yeah!
Let's do it. We got green. Brad, nice job. You're already in second place, buddy.
Those youngsters having a lot of fun, but you know, it was a pretty rough week for the racing world, and especially the family of the World of Outlaws. Earlier this week, we lost some great people to our family. Legendary driver Kenny Weld, crew chief Davy Brown Jr., Cora Kinser, the mother of Steve Kinser, and Tom Roller, the brother of our producer Jim Roller, all passed away. And of course, the Pennzoil World of Outlaw family wanted to pass on their condolences to John Nemechek's family as well.
Got a lot of miles? Engine Restore is here to make you feel like new. Engine Restore will add compression and give you more power. Put the boogie back in your car with Engine Restore and lubricant.
What makes the Chevy Monte Carlo so great? Aerodynamic balance and rear downforce.
4-stroke, great horsepower.
Absolutely minimal drag coefficient.
Really nice map light. Monte Carlo has won more races than any other car in NASCAR Winston Cup history. Genuine Chevrolet, the cars more champions trust, for all kinds of reasons.
What makes the Monte Carlo so good? Me.
Ever wonder what NASCAR drivers do in the off-season? One lucky fan's going to find out firsthand. The winner of the Fantasy Sweepstakes from Slim Jim in Penrose is taking a fantasy trip with one of these NASCAR greats, like motorcycle riding with Kyle Petty, deep sea fishing with Bobby and Terry Labonte, horseback riding with Ernie Irvin, or whitewater rafting with Mike Cope and Jason Keller, or golfing with Dale Jarrett. Look for Fantasy Sweepstakes displays where you buy Penrose or Slim Jims and get ready to live the fantasy.
I detail cars for a living. When my customers ask me how I keep their cars looking so new, I tell them it's a trade secret. But between you and me, I use Mother's Back to Black on all the exterior trim surfaces that weather and fade. Back to Black cuts through wax buildup and eliminates oxidation that makes black trim look old and dull. It works great on all colors of trim as well as black and leaves behind a clear, durable coating that seals and protects. Nothing works like Mother's Back to Black, so keep it to yourself, or I'll be looking for another line of work.
Dude, you got 800 horsepower strapped to your right foot and you're cinching the belts down as you're ready to go racing with the Pennzoil World of Outlaws. That's Danny the Dude Lisowski ready to go with the 8 feature cars.
From that angle, you can see the difference in the rear tires, how much smaller the left rear tire was.
There you see Danny Lisowski, the 1W ready to go. He's going to wipe off that visor. He's got tear-offs on there. Ralph Shaheen, Brad Doty, Bobby Gerald, and Dave Reef with you. Now here's a look at the point standings from the Pennzoil World of Outlaws after last night's racing. This is as up-to-date as you can get. Mark Kinser leading the point standings. Of course, he is the reigning champion. Hillenberg, the Wild Child, Haudenschild, Blaney, and the Dude sitting back in 5th. Steve Kinser, Jeff Swindell, his brother Sammy, Greg Hodnett, and Joe Gertie rounding out the top 10. And as you can see, as we go back to 15th, where we find Stevie Smith, points are pretty tight this year.
3 guys in the top 5 haven't won a main event this year, so that just shows how consistency really pays off. You know, gets to add those points up, and that's what it takes.
Well, now let's get right into the grid for tonight's A feature with the Pennzoil World of Outlaws. We've had 5 races so far and 5 different winners. Who's going to be tonight? Andy Hillenberg and Mark Kinser. They're up on the front row. Stevie Smith and the Buckeye Bullet Dave Blaney back in row 2.
Steve Kinser, row 3 beside Joe Gertie. And you have Jack, the Wild Child Haudenschild. Danny the Dude Lisowski outside of him.
Terry McCarl, the 8H. He won a heat race earlier. Gary Wright did as well. They're in row 5. Sammy Swindell and Donnie Crawford. And an old Andy Hillenberg car in row 6.
Steve Kinser's brother Randy there. Greg Hodnett beside him. Lance Blevins, the youngster. Craig Delansky.
Row 9 finds Aaron Berryhill. He's going to run an IndyCar, an American IndyCar Series race tomorrow. Sprint cars tonight. Dean Jacobs, the Hurricane, Randy Hannigan, and Schatz in row 10.
Young Tyler Walker, Jeff Swindell from the back again. Johnny Hollywood Herrera and Mike Peters.
Row 13, Paul McMahon utilizing that provisional. He's in the show. So the lineup is complete. Is this a track, do you think, Brad, that will give us a new winner?
Well, you know, it's Andy Hillenberg's best shot starting on the front, but Mark Kinser was awesome fast last night. But again, it's 30 long laps and anything can happen. You know, but you got to go with the front row guys. We get into a lot of traffic. That's when the race gets interesting. But, it's nice to see some new guys win.
Gary Wright in the 9 car has won 2 out of the last 4 races here with these guys. You think the non-regular can sneak another one?
Well, he starts pretty far back. There's some good cars in front of him. And but the track's, there's a multi-groove track tonight. It's not real sticky and heavy where everybody gets out and runs wide open and there's not a lot of passing. We're going to see a lot of passing going on.
Steve Kinser and the Quaker State cars, they form up with the 4 wide. Won the last weekend out in Mississippi. Looked awfully good coming up from 22nd last night. Maybe the King's on a roll.
You know, a lot of times when you start in the back like Steve did last night, you just throw caution to the wind. You just change your race car. You do things that you might not normally do starting toward the front because you think, well, what do I have to lose? So sometimes you might be a little conservative starting up front. We'll see.
Bobby Gerald, as they go 4 wide, what's happening down on pit road?
Well, we'll talk a little bit about the tire compounds that these guys will go with for the A-main. I just talked with Scott Gherkin, crew chief for Steve Kinser, and Scott told me that his team went out with a 25C. I asked him if that was any kind of a gamble because a 25C leans toward the softer side of the compound, and he said no, he thought that it was pretty safe. He figures most of the Goodyear teams are out there on the 25Cs. A soft compound despite the dry conditions, Brad Doty.
Well, it is. It's one step up. The 20 is the softest in the Goodyear. Last night they ran a 40 on the right rear. The top 10 ran a 40 on the right rear and a 25C on the left rear. Now they're running the 25C on the right rear. The racetrack's not as abrasive tonight.
And they'll break it up. Get in behind the pace car and form up 2 wide. And we should be racing here momentarily. The 4 wide's a pretty neat deal for the drivers.
It is. It's a salute to the fans, you know, and I've mentioned before, that's not an easy task. You do on some little quarter-mile racetracks, trying to run 4 wide, and these things with all that stagger, they bounce around, and it's hard not to rub wheels while you're just lining up with the 4 abreast.
There you see it, the working 5M, the Maxim chassis. Mark Kinser and his crew chief father Carl, who is an absolute genius. There are kings and there are kingmakers, and I'll say it again, Carl Kinser, definitely a kingmaker.
For those that said there will never be another Carl Kinser, Mark had a new baby named Carl. There is another Carl Kinser.
Congratulations to Mark and Cindy Kinser.
Dave Blaney also had a little girl, so a lot of babies in the world of outlaws.
And we found out that Jeff Swindell's wife Sissy is pregnant.
And Stevie Smith's wife is pregnant, so
family genes continue. We're racing as we come off of 4.
Boy, Andy got a nice start. Mark got a little bit loose, spun the wheels, I believe.
We're staying green. Mark Kinser sits in second. Dave Blaney comes rocketing up into third. There's the Buckeye Bullet. He's flying in the vibrant car.
Got a great shot off of turn 2. Steve tried the outside, but slid. Wow, Steve Kinser
look at Blaney come.
See Mark picked his right front when he got in there, turned the car, the wing buried, and it picked the right. How often do you see a car drive by Mark Kinser like that? Dave Blaney is flying.
Kenny Woodruff, the crew chief on Dave Blaney's car, was the crew chief and car owner of the car that won here with the first Spring Nationals back in 1978 when the Outlaws raced here for the first time as a group. There is Tyler Walker off of the racetrack. Well, we're going to take this opportunity while they grid him back up to step away from Devil's Bowl just for a moment. We'll be right back.
It's time to have a ball with the Twins. The season kicks off as the Twins host the Detroit Tigers Wednesday night at 7 p.m. on MSC, your Minnesota Twins connection.
Come on, we'll be having a ball with the Twins.
From tail fins to the space shuttle, Toyota's 40th anniversary spring sales event celebrates our 4 decades in America. Pay as little as $189 a month to lease a new Corolla CE with Classic Edition Value Package. Or get special cashback savings on the stylish Special Edition Tercel Hawk. The anniversary may be ours, but the gifts are yours. So don't wait, because during Toyota's 40th anniversary spring sales event, anything is possible.
Goodness gracious, all the bar.
Billy wants to work on airplanes when he grows up. Maybe one that you fly in. Now, would you like this free booklet of simple ways you can help improve his education? Call 1-800-96-PROMISE.
You're pouncing along with the left front wheel on Joe Gertie's car. You get right down in there too, don't you, Brad? Look at
it. Right there, the shock bolt there in the left corner, lower left corner of your screen. That's the top of the shock absorber right there. That bolt looks huge from here, but that's only about a half-inch bolt, so, and I'm sure it's titanium.
Unobtainium, probably. Joe Gertie, son of the famous engine builder.
See that blue thing on Andy's car there? On the left of the roll cage. That shields the light glare from the infield. It doesn't get in her face.
Andy Hillenberg only had 1 feature win last year. Came in Las Cruces, New Mexico. He likes his Southwestern dirt.
Yeah, and he always runs well here, so right now he's wishing the checker flag was coming out. He doesn't care how many laps are in.
That's right. He still pays the same. Points and money. As we come to the cone, it'll be Hillenberg, Mark Kinser, Blaney, Steve Kinser, Stevie Smith, and the wild child, Haudenschild.
Again, people might wonder why Blaney, they put him back. Go back to the last completed lap.
Look at Mark Kinser trying to fend him off as he goes to the outside. Dave Blaney trying to keep a streak alive. He's won every year since 1982. Hasn't done that already this year. He's completed that streak.
Now look at this. I think he woke Mark up a little bit. When Dave went by Mark, I think he just woke him up a little bit. Now, Mark Kinser doesn't have a wing slider, or at least he didn't. I know they might have put it on before the A-main, but Carl was the first man to put a wing slider so the driver could adjust the wing. He has now, because of weight, taken it off. I don't know whether Mark has it back on and moved the wing, but something has hooked that car up where he's found a different line.
It's hydraulically controlled from inside the cockpit. Mark out front right now. There you see Blaney. Here is a fight deeper in the field. That's Stevie Smith and the black number 19, Joe Gertie on the bottom in the white 3 car. And behind them is Jac Haudenschild in the Pennzoil 22. Here's a fight for second and third.
Blaney's gotten by Andy Hillenberg and looks like he's closing back in on Mark.
And Steve Kinser behind them. Steve with over 700 sprint car victories since back in 1976. Looking for another one here tonight, but it's his cousin out front who everybody is chasing.
Notice the different lines. Some of the cars way around the top and a few right around the bottom.
Steve Kinser going upstairs, just sticking that big right rear up into the loose stuff, up into the cushion. Mark Kinser holds the track record here, 13.6 seconds. That was set 4 years ago. Nobody's gotten near it. Into the lap traffic now, and this could get interesting. Look at Blaney down on the bottom. He goes inside of Paul McMahon.
Closing up with Mike Peters in the 66. That gave Mark a shot. Mark got away from me a little bit. Mark Kinser there in the 5. Got away from Dave Blaney in that lap traffic.
Mark likes it up top as well. Seems to be working for him. Now Blaney moves upstairs.
That's right now. That's a fast way around. Unless they start getting some rubber down through the middle, that probably won't change.
There's Kenny Woodruff, who has won here with Leland McSpadden and Bobby Davis in a bunch, and now he's trying to win with
Blaney's past Mark Kinser.
And that's who he's trying to win with. Dave Blaney is driver. They've switched over from the Ford to the Chevy.
Suppose that put a smile on Kenny Woodruff's face?
No, Woodruff never smiles, but I know he's happy on the inside. Kinser not giving up, though.
No, he's not letting him get away as he comes right back. Going to try the bottom. See a little bit of brown right down around the bottom there. That's what they're trying to run in. They want to slide up into the black and get that big right rear up into the black and get the car. Blaney's slowly pulling away there a little bit, though.
A lot of laps in front of him now. Blaney last winning here back in 1993. He's got to contest with a bunch of slower cars now in front of him as they come out of turn number 4. Donny Schatz, Dean Jacobs, and Tyler Walker, the first ones he's going to deal with.
And again, nobody has mirrors in these things. The lap cars have no idea that the leaders are coming or where they are.
That's the fight for third you're looking at right there. Hillenberg and Sammy Swindell. Then it's Steve Kinser, Haudenschild, Danny Lasowski, Joe Curdy back behind them.
Boy, that's what you don't want to see when you're leading the races. Two lap cars running side by side for position.
Mark Kinser almost had a shot.
Look at Andy
Hillenberg's going to get it. He's going to take the lead.
Can you believe that? Those guys got tied up behind the lap cars, and Andy Hillenberg drives by both of them.
And the McCrarys may be working for Hillenberg as he comes inside and takes the lead and starts to pull away.
Look what he's done there, Ralph. He drove by those guys. Look at the lead already. In one lap, he's got a straightaway lead.
Sammy Swindell has moved up to 4th. He started 11th. The channel lock car is flying as well.
You know, if these cars had radios, the crew chief would be telling Andy, just cool it, take your time through lap traffic, you're awesome fast. But unfortunately, they don't. So he's running as hard as he can run.
Mark Kinser still trying to find a way to catch up to Hillenberg, who's leading this one. As you see Gary Wright going away. There's Hillenberg, the STP car, trying to work Donny Schatz. There's Mark Kinser just behind him in the white and orange 5M.
And Mark's closed back in just a little bit as Andy's getting tied up with some of these lap cars.
He's on the outside of him now as they come off at turn 2. And Hillenberg slides up to defend the line. Now cuts back to the bottom. And if Mark can get around that outside, he can take the spot away.
This is amazing. I mean, Andy drives by and drives off. We saw Blaney do it early, get by Mark and get away. Mark comes back.
Dave Reef, what do you see from the pits?
Well, I see Keith Carlson, a crew chief, watching very curiously as his driver tries to hold on to the lead. Do you have the car set up for the long haul?
Yeah, we probably were a little bit tight starting off. It took a while for the tire to kick in, but I think we're going to be okay now.
Did you know your driver could come right back up there like that?
I got faith in Andy. He does a darn good job for us. You know, he tries his hardest all the time.
Faith will do a lot for you.
The battle continuing to rage out on the racetrack. It's Hillenberg, Mark Kinser, Sammy Swindell is flying. He's up to challenge for second to the inside of Mark Kinser. Steve Kinser rides in 4th. Then it's Blaney, Lasowski, and Haudenschild.
Sammy Swindell in the 1 car is flying. Boy, he's running down as close to those infield tires. Remember last night he clipped one and knocked the front axle out.
Sammy is a master on the bottom side of a racetrack. He slides back upstairs there. Look at that, first, second, and third going at it right there in the midst of all that traffic. Here comes Hillenberg to the inside of Berryhill. Now he's going to the outside of Jeff Swindell.
He had no choice, Ralph. He goes in on the bottom, and with his momentum, he had to slide up, and Mark gets
Kinser to the lead.
When Andy slid to the top, it gave Mark wide open on the bottom and got underneath of him.
Oh, and Andy Hillenberg gets hung up with Jeff Swindell, and Sammy will take advantage and take over second in place.
Boy, big hung up he did. Boy, he almost ran over Jeff Swindell, and of course Jeff didn't know he was there. Sammy right there in the one car, going after Mark Kinser, 5M.
Mark goes a little wide coming off at turn number 2. Steve Kinser is closed into the backside of Hillenberg as you go on board with Daniel Lisowski, who is fighting his way up into this mix. Now the dude is right in the middle of this. He sits back in fifth, make that 6th position right now. He is right on the backside of Dave Blaney, who holds on to 5th. There's Sammy Swindell still running on the bottom of this Cadillac car. And this one winding the laps down.
And meanwhile, Mark Kinser's just pulled out to a comfortable lead, but he's getting into some lap cars, and there's Sammy coming up behind him.
Boy, traffic made this one exciting there for a while, but now that's starting to break up a little bit with just 5 to go. Mark seems to be opening up a lead. It's Mark Kinser, Sammy Swindell, Steve Kinser riding in 3rd. Then it's Blaney now back up to 4th. Hillenberg back to 5th. Gertie takes 6th away, and Lisowski loses it all the way back to 8th as Jac Haudenschild picks him off as well.
You said lap traffic making this race interesting. That's what makes sprint car racing interesting. There's a lot of lap traffic. The guy who chooses and gets through with no mirrors and not be able to see the tires, this is amazing.
Amy Swindell watching anxiously downstairs. How's she doing, Bobby?
Well, I don't know how she does this. I want to stand up and watch this race. She's just sitting down here. She scores a little bit. Amy, you think Sammy can get up there into the top spot?
I hope so. The guys told me they put a little different tire on and now the yellows come out, so this is a whole new ball game now.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. A whole new ball game with the yellow flag, and we'll keep an eye on Sammy Swindell and see if he can get around Mark Kinser out.
Lance Blevins, the Sitco car, number 21, spins out. He was battling with Haudenschild, and he lost it in the midst of that fight. We'll be back. The Pennzoil Roll of Outlaws putting on quite a show. Hang in there, Amy.
Napa carries more parts than anyone in the country. And during a big sale, I feel I can carry each one myself.
It's spring break at Napa with price breaks on all kinds of parts and accessories, like a Napa lawn and garden battery, just $17.99 after mail-in rebate. And this bonus pack of STP's Son of a Gun Protectant with free tire care for only $5.99. All at Napa, the place to go for spring break.
Is a new career in your future? Call Motorcycle Mechanics Institute today and get on the fast track to success. MMI graduate and Harley-Davidson service manager Randall Richards knows what it takes.
When I'm looking to hire new technicians, I need to find somebody who has a broad background and a solid understanding of how Harleys work. You know, somebody who is serious and efficient, ready to go with on-the-job training. I can always find these qualities in an MMI graduate.
Call 1-800-994-3664 today.
Your car's fuel injectors work like this when they're clean. But when they're clogged and dirty, all you get is a trickle of power that can make your car really run rough and sound out of tune. Pour in Berryman B12 Chem Tool. No expensive tune-up, no dirty hands, just maximum mileage, faster starts, out-of-sight performance. And all for about the price of a bottle of shampoo. Berryman B12 Chem Tool. It just may be the only tool you need for out-of-sight performance.
Joe Gertie's going to try to hold off that 1W for 4 more laps. Daniel Lisowski trying to close in on him. And we've got just 4 laps to go, and let's show you how they stack up right now. Mark Kinser, Sammy Swindell, Steve Kinser, Dave Blaney, and Andy Hillenberg. That is the order, but not necessarily the order on the racetrack. Sammy is right behind Mark Kinser, but then it's Terry McCarl, Delansky, Jeff Swindell, Hodnett, Steve Kinser, Berryhill, Blaney, then Hillenberg. So there's some lap cars in to hold some of these guys up.
Yeah, Steve's in trouble with all those lap cars between him and Swindell, but Sammy is right on the back bumpers. Mark Kinser getting ready to go green here.
Back behind Hillenberg, for those of you scoring at home, Gertie and Haudenschild and Lisowski are all right in there together, and those 3 cars are battling for 6th, 7th, and 8th.
We'll have to wonder what happened to Hillenberg after such a good run. It just seemed like within a matter of a lap or so, he just really slowed down.
There's a good look at Danny Lisowski as he sits inside the car. Bobby Gerald, everybody okay down on pit road?
Well, they're trying to be. Amy Swindell has gotten up from her perch, though. Now she's a little closer to the racetrack. Now, she may have given something away when she said that Sammy went with a harder tire compound. He did indeed, Glenn Stewart told me, go with a 40 compound, and that is the harder tire that Brad talked about. Most of the guys were running last night when the track was a little more abrasive. For the long haul, that has been an excellent choice for Sammy Swindell, who right now is going to give Mark Kinser all he can handle.
And we also saw Carl Kinser giving his son Mark the thumbs up, saying everything's okay, just 4 more to go. That's what we're going to see when we come back to Devil's Bowl. Stay with us.
Opening day is terrific. I mean, it's kind of like everything you've done in spring training, you shoot for that opening day mark. So when it finally gets there, all the balls that you've locked in the dirt, all the work that you've done with your pitcher, all the extra batting practice that you've taken, all the running, all the conditioning, it all comes to head, on opening night.
True Value Ball Night, opening night, April 1st. For tickets, call 33 Twins.
I'm a hockey coach. It's great working with young people. The other day on the way to a game, a big sheet of ice flew off the vehicle in front of us. It cracked our windshield. Well, I knew Abra could take care of it. They helped us last summer when we had a little fender bender. So I called Abra, and their mobile glass truck met us at our home, and everything worked out perfectly. The way I see it, there's only one thing a sheet of ice is good for, and that's hockey. Let's pick up the pace.
Abra Auto Body and Glass.
It's time to celebrate spring and enjoy the spring savings at Total Bedroom. Any seasonal porch or cabin looks great with a futon. You can get our most popular metal futon sofa in black or green, just $188. You'll find great values on all bedroom furniture, like this 4-piece shaker pine bedroom, or this youth bedroom with underbed storage. Choose from the largest selection of Spring Air and Serta mattresses in the upper Midwest. A queen-size Spring Air Jumbo Supreme is just $288. Celebrate spring with savings from the sleep experts at Total Bedroom.
4 laps to go. You see Jac Haudenschild's car back there, and we're getting a report of smoke coming off the Pennzoil car. This was not a good sign for Sammy Swindell with that hard compound tire as we go back to green.
Well, that's what we reported. He had the hard tire, and a lot of times the 40 will seal over on the yellow, and it takes a little while for it to come back again. It's looking good right now, but Mark got a great shot off of the corner there off of turn 2 and drives away. Sammy did not want to see this yellow flag. The 40, the harder compound, takes a little heat to make it get sticky, and the longer he runs, the hotter the tire gets, makes him faster. So he definitely didn't want to see that yellow.
Mark Kinser looking for his 3rd straight Dallas World of Outlaw win, and he's well on his way in that working 5M. The Maxim chassis machine working great here tonight. Sammy Swindell sits in 2nd as a white flag comes out. Steve Kinser rides back in 3rd. Then it's Blaney, Hillenberg, Gertie, Lisowski, and Haudenschild.
I can tell you right there on that shot, Mark definitely has his wing slider on board because he's got the wing back farther now than he did before.
And he's got the win with the Pennzoil World of Outlaws. We finally got a repeat winner on the tour. Mark Kinser gets the win. Sammy Swindell is 2nd. Steve Kinser is 3rd. Blaney is 4th. And behind him will be Hillenberg, and we're going to have to check on that afterwards behind him because Lisowski and Gertie came by pretty close together. We'll have it officially for you when we come back to Devil's Bowl Speedway, where we will talk to the winner. Mark Kinser, the working 5M, has another trip to victory lane.
It's probably hit you a zillion times by now. You could use a bug flex.
Come along the fence because momentarily after victory circle celebrations are complete, they will open up the gates and let them all go down to meet their favorite drivers, get some t-shirts like the brand new Brad Doty shirt that just came out today. Extra large Doty. Here's a look at the results. Mark Kinser the winner. Sammy Swindell comes home in 2nd. Steve Kinser, Dave Blaney, and Andy Hillenberg. Well, Mark Kinser is a brand new dad and a race winner, and he's down there with David Reed.
And he's crawling out of the work, getting Maxim, sweeping the entire Spring Nationals event in 1997. Mark, congratulations.
Well, thank you. You know, the team done a real good job, and the car was working good. That was one heck of a race. You know, I seen Andy was giving me a tough time there. You know, he's a tough competitor. And then I seen Sammy, and then Blaney was poking his nose in there. I tell you what, this working car was really fast tonight, and those guys were pretty quick, too.
You can't forget Steve was even in that battle as well. Take us through the start. Andy was able to get the jump.
Yeah, Andy's he's always real tough here at Devil's Bow or anywhere, matter of fact, you know, and it was kind of geared up for him more than anybody else tonight, and the crew done a real good job. Of course, my father and Jamie and Bob done a real good job, and it was just one of those nights where things were working good, but we still may not come away with the win.
And you had one place, real tight lap traffic, but you got through it all. Bobby Gerald, I guess Mark Kinser, by picking up that win, means he caught a bigger catfish across the street.
Well, I guess so, but I don't know. I think the catfish did Sammy Swindell pretty good tonight. He comes home with a second-place finish, and Sammy, going with that harder compound tire seemed to really help you tonight.
Well, maybe it did. You know, we after the B, we wanted to go kind of in between. We had one a little too soft, and this one was a little bit too hard. It held up pretty good, but there late in the race, it was letting the car push coming off the corners a little bit, and I was having to just backpedal the thing some, but it was a pretty good night for the channel lock car. The driver didn't mess up tonight, so you know, we got a good run out of it. The yellow there kind of hurt us. I think we needed to stay going in the traffic, but we were about even with Mark. He was probably just a little bit better right off the corner, but I could get in a little bit better than he could.
Was it about the tire cooling off then a little bit during that yellow flag? You wanted to keep it heated up?
Well, it was just going to be hard to pass him in the open. You know, I tried to make a run around the top, but it wasn't as good. You know, on the start, I knew I had about 3 lap cars between us, so I had a chance to try something and let him get about 3 or 4 car lengths, you know, off the corner. But we ran him back down. But you know, I tried to get under him and let him see me there getting into one and hope he'd maybe slip off the edge a little bit, but you know, he didn't make the mistake, and that was all we could do, was just try to make a mistake, and you know, it didn't work. You know, once we got out there in line again, and we just stayed right with him.
Congratulations on the second place finish, Sammy Swindell. The fans saw a good race tonight, Ralph and Brad.
Well, they sure did. Sammy Swindell, a big part of that, coming home in second place with the folks from Channel Lock, and Tom Sanders from Gambler, who will be talking to him. That's, of course, the brand of chassis that Sammy drives here. Now, Brad, this is the first repeat winner we've seen in the 97 Tour. We've got more live television races than ever this year, and Mark getting a win at Paris, which was also seen on live national television earlier this year. We hadn't seen any domination. Are we maybe starting to see that?
Well, I've talked to some people today. You know, it seems like everybody will just start to catch up with Carl, and he'll figure something out, and back he comes again. You know, he just tries to stay one step ahead of the competition, and obviously does a good job with it, but it does seem like everybody else is closer than they've been before.
There's a good look at that Maxim chassis, the 5M, that Mark Kinser and his father Carl have learned to dominate. Full moon. It's about the only place Carl Kinser hasn't won with a sprint car yet.